Ladies and gentlemen, it's 9 o'clock. I call this Sawyer County Public Safety meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Ron Buckholz.
Present.
Mark Helwig.
Here.
Ed Peters.
Here.
Jason Weaver. Marshall Savitsky.
Did he call in
He
or?
did not.
Okay. All right. We still have a quorum. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, certification of compliance with open meetings law, Madam Clerk.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, thank you. Meeting agenda has been presented. Anybody have any questions with it? If not, we're going to go to number 6. Public comment. At this time, members of the public will be given the opportunity to address the committee. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes or less. Comments should be directed to the committee as a whole. The committee cannot respond to your comments during this time. Please sign in and fill out a public comment sheet if you wish to speak on them. You don't have to. So you can come up, Stacy, and can you get it in 3 minutes?
I'll try.
Okay.
Stacy Hessel, Town of Hayward resident. Just want to speak on behalf of the support of our sheriff's department. We have a phenomenal sheriff's department, and I think any efforts to retain our deputies is appreciated. It's come to my attention that we have several deputies that live outside of Sawyer County and are driving, but not able to take their patrol car home. So if the sheriff's department supports the decision of letting them take their patrol cars home, I think that that would be amazing. And maybe some counties will bill from the county line to their home if they live in a different county. So maybe we could charge the deputies that, but at least it would be a cost savings and we could retain. I know some of our deputies are getting contacted by other counties, and I would just hate to lose them based on just a situation where they can't take their patrol car home. So any efforts that the sheriff's department has on retention and helping with that situation, I think the county board should support that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Stacy. All right, anybody else for public comment? Lynn, anybody got their hand up? Okay. All right, number 7, consideration of the minutes from the previous meeting, please. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Helwig, a second by Mr. Peters to approve the public safety minutes of 10/5/23. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries to approve. All right, number 8, Circuit Court. Do we have a judge's report?
Does not sent with anything. Judge Apple's privy out. We do a rotator cuff surgery, and Judge Aisha is in Lake Geneva for.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Courthouse remodel update, Andy?
Not a whole lot of new updates. Still just a few things to wrap up. The punch list, some things that were not, I guess, not done correctly. They're coming back later this month to fix up some of the polished floor area. We had some issues with the HVAC. Those have been straightened out. And other than that, we're just still working towards wrapping up the project.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Andy? Okay. Thank you, Andy. All right. Number 9, Clerk of Courts, Marge?
A couple of extra things to add to my report, just to let you know that we have hired a full-time employee to fill the vacancy for criminal clerk. She's been full-time with us for a couple weeks. She's catching on quickly. We obviously need to give her more time unfortunately. But the fact that we have to clerk 3 courtrooms at the same time, next week we will have to stuff her in before a judge to clerk on her own, while I'm in one courtroom and Catherine's in another. It's an ongoing issue we need to try to work through and figure out. We're still going through some growing pains with learning probate and trying to get the workload equalized within the office. I know I've been asking for a full-time employee in the budget. I just want you to keep in mind that I'm currently advertising for a part-time person. So technically, after the first of the year, I'm asking for another part-time, which would make it full-time, if you would consider it that way, to try and help cover with some of this extra probate work. Currently, we are one of the pilot counties for our CCAP program. They're updating the financials. We were the first county that they deployed the update to. So, and we've been in that for 2 weeks, working through that. So that's another thing that we're working through and learning. Ozaki and Sauk counties are the only other 2 counties that have this available to them out of the 72. Our collections are down because the financial clerk is not able to dedicate time to collections because she's so busy with working with the probate and
Okay.
and helping us with that. So collections are down because she's not able to follow up and do that. And that's huge.
So how many employees are you short yet?
If I can get this part-time that I'm applying for, which not many people want to work just part-time.
Right.
If I can get it to full-time, then I think we would be okay, because then we can cover that probate. Our financial clerk can dedicate her time to collections to help bring that back up, and people would be able to breathe a little easier in our office.
And even checking into that or no, or I'm sure you have, but
Well, yeah, there's a halftime position open that is unfilled that has been advertised for a few months or a couple months at least. And just haven't found anybody to fill that position.
all right. Okay, go ahead, Mark. Got a question, Marge?
Each area is allowed so many positions, correct?
Each department.
Yeah,
Yes.
department, thank you. And is that under your allotment, or you're asking for another one beyond that? Is that correct?
I'm to full staff without probate. But we've taken on probate, which is the guardianships, the wills, the actual probate. And they do need some attention and time to process the paperwork. So technically we're down. We need that extra person, and probate was a full-time position previously. So if we can get the current part-time that we're advertising for and add another part-time to it, so it's full-time, then I believe we would be okay.
So the answer technically is yes.
Pardon?
The answer is technically yes, that would be over the.
We added a halftime position when we split the probate and juvenile.
I'm not saying no one, I just
Yeah.
was curious how the department's going, if that puts you.
Beyond Marge, the office is set or approved for 5.5 positions right now.
And that's what she currently has,
We're trying to fill the half position.
Trying to fill the half.
and you want to make it a full.
She wants to
Correct.
make it 6, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions for Marge? Thank you, Marge. Okay. Number 13A, patrol report, Lieutenant.
Have my glasses on.
As you can see, our call volume was about 763 for the month. That's a slight increase from where we were at last year. So that's continuing our trend. That's typical what we see in the fall when things kind of wind down. For this reporting period, we have 29 citations issued in traffic offenses, 3 written warnings, 8 non-traffic offenses. And in community maps, we've had 18 total crashes and 4 with personal injuries and no additional fatalities, bringing our yearly total so far to 241 for crashes, 67 personal injury, and 4 fatalities. A few comments on the bottom there about the annual Cranberry Fest. It went very well, and they had a very safe turnout. They had a very large turnout as well. We're conducting our semi-annual firearms and less lethal trainings in the first week of November. And as here for the year, it's due for Berkey security season. So we started planning a little bit early. Their expectations are there's going to be about 30% more attendance. So that'll be more people in the area and more concerns for traffic control. And a comment too, congratulations to Deputy Mike Simpson, who was promoted to the rank of detective. He'll be moving out of his patrol spot in a later date here, and we are currently in the hiring process to have a backfill to replace him for that position. We do have a number of applicants already, so we're starting out pretty good.
That sounds good. Yeah, so that means that we need to keep what we have, but. Oh, all right. Any more questions for Lieutenant Rapinski? Okay, thank you, Lieutenant. Okay, number B, jail report.
Lieutenant Waller is on vacation this week, so I'll give the jail report for him.
Okay.
Highlights the report here. Daily population for October is 67. Year to date is 71, and last year was 80. We have 1 on electronic monitor and 3 working Hubers. And incarceration numbers, we have 33 on cash bond, which are pre-sentence, 12 on probation holds, and 12 sentenced inmates.
Okay.
And a few others there for other reasons, but those are the primary numbers.
And nobody's out of county.
Well, we do have inmates out of county because they're working inmates and they were able to be placed in that county to accommodate their work,
Oh, okay.
working with other counties.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Any more questions for the sheriff? Go ahead.
None that we're paying to house out of county.
What's that?
None that we're paying to house out of
Okay.
county.
Okay.
If I read Lieutenant Ripzinski's report correctly, there was 21 jail incidents in the last on this report. Is that true? And what?
I'm sorry, 21.
21 jail incidents.
Jail incidents.
A jail incident could be a lot of things, and it's kind of a catch on that one. It's whatever the dispatch will put in there under the title. That's where those titles come from when the call comes in. So a jail incident could be anything from a fight in a jail. It could be a transport to a medical facility, or it could even be picking up meds.
Jail complaint 21. That was, I guess I should have said that, said not incident. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Lieutenant, again. Okay, number C, Communication System Specialist Report. Is he on?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, you're gonna
I'll
do
be
it.
reporting for
Well,
Director
good to hear you,
Sinski
Chief.
today.
Skipping that.
Oh, I'm sorry, is this,
Communication specialist or the communication report?
Communication System Specialist Report.
that'd be-
Yes.
I apologize.
Oh, okay. I guess I missed that part of it.
Education.
All right. Does anybody have any questions with that report? Okay, if not, let's go on to number D. Cooperative Tribal Law Enforcement Grant Resolution and Agreement. Discussion and possible action item. Andy, what do you got here?
So we're doing this essentially the same thing we did last year. I think everybody somewhat knows the history of the Tribal Cooperative Law Enforcement Grant. Last year, rather than kind of work out a joint plan, we agreed to sponsor the resolution and the application, and the money would flow directly to the tribe. So they provided the grant application, they prepared it. We would pass the resolution because this is a requirement since it's a cooperative grant. And they intend to use the funds for the tribal animal control program again in 24, as they did this year.
I thought we approved this one.
You do every
Last year.
Last year, has that been, wow.
It's an annual thing,
Yep,
correct?
annually.
I'll
That
make a
went by
motion to-
fast then. Okay, all
I'll make
right.
a Motion to approve the resolution in the cooperative county tribal law enforcement agreement.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Elwig, second by Mr. Peters to approve the the tribal law enforcement grant resolution. Any more discussion?
Just had one question. I noticed that there's a highlighted section to the, let's see, the fourth whereas. What's the reason for the highlight, I guess?
I think it's just highlighted to show what they're using the dollars for.
Okay.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, we're just gonna do voice one on this, Lynn. Okay, so all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 2, tribal assistance grant. That's what we just passed.
Yep.
Okay. All right, number E, code enforcement specialist. Brandon, thank you.
Thank you, sir. So on the animal control side of things, admissions to the pound are keeping steadily high. 13 for September, and at the time it was 10 for October. I believe now we're into 13 or 14. At-large incidents are one of the biggest ones, along with possible abandonment. It's been a few where the dog just mysteriously appeared somewhere and no one knew where it came from. Citations have been issued a lot more often in response. Between at-large and then untagged dogs, a lot of people have dog licenses but don't put them on the collars, and that is a citable offense. Orders of correction to obtain county licenses have also been issued. Now the 2023 license period is over. On December 1st, we'll have the 2024.
Okay.
But it's been another combative action, sending out letters saying you have until this date to get your license. If not, you're getting a citation. Due to the time period, revenues have been low. We're not selling as many licenses, and when we do have dogs in, not all of them are going back home. A lot of them are going to Northwoods Humane Society, so we don't see anything from that when they go there. Impound and boarding fees, like I said, since I don't know offhand how many dogs went on there. I'm sure it's in a report in the end of the report here. Looks like I had 8 go to Northwoods Humane Society out of 13. So that's holding those dogs for at least 7 days, sometimes longer if NHS can't take them on the 7-day mark. Food's expensive. At-large calls been on the rise. I've noticed a lot of them aren't directly reported. I've been trying to watch the Facebook groups, especially in winter, that community. I don't know why the dogs, there's a pair of dogs that have always been getting out like the past month now. And instead of reporting it to anyone, they just post on Facebook and the owner gets them.
Oh,
So they never come into contact with me, but I know who the owners are now. So every time I see a post on there, they're getting in trouble. On the code enforcement side of things, I have access to the public health file drive. So now I can, when I go out for site inspections and take pictures, I can upload it directly to there instead of having to email it. Makes the integration with that a little better. And then as for zoning, continuing on with the site inspections with that, also working on the violation letter templates to improve it. That's been one of the hangups with zoning, just getting those letters out. So having that cleared up, so when it's shore clearing, building without a permit, shipping container, it makes it easier to just plug in the address and say, this is what you have to do and this is how long you have to do it.
yeah, I see some shipping containers showing up in the woods right now. It must be hunting shacks. I don't know if they got permits for them or not, but I am gonna, the one down by us, I'm gonna take a picture of it and send it to Jay. Because I'm not sure if it's in the Radisson Township or Ojibwa. So I'm not sure what township that is. It's pretty close to the town of Meadowbrook,
Sure.
but I'm gonna take, it's hidden in the woods there. I'm gonna take a picture of it. I can see it from the road and I'll send it to Jay. I mean, I don't mind them having them containers, but by God, don't try to sneak them in. There's gotta be, you gotta find out stuff. A lot of places are zoned and you can't do that,
Yeah,
but they just try to hide them.
yeah.
Do you need a permit or something like that?
It depends on the case. I know if it's just land without a dwelling, you're not supposed to have any accessory structures, and shipping containers are accessory structures. If they have a primary dwelling on there, they can have it, but they need a permit.
Yeah, because this one is, there's no primary dwelling there. It's just stuck back in the log too. And then I got one other question, Brent. On these fines at large that you can put out there, are these people paying them fines? Do you have that answer?
Most of the time when I check into it, they are not paid. They go out there. I know that there was one case recently where it was someone who had been doing it long before I started, and they were trying to sell their property, and I got a call from a law firm representing them asking how to pay it so they could actually sell their property. So that's the one thing. Eventually they have to pay.
Yeah, I know your predecessor or the one that before you told me the same thing. She issued a lot of citations, but they never got paid. Ain't there a way we can collect that? There's gotta be a way. That's your office? Okay.
That's in the clerk's office, and that's one of the things where we're behind on collections, so.
Oh, okay.
And we send reminder notes out to the people and try to work with them to try and get payment plans set up, because we prefer to do that rather than send it to the Department of Revenue for collections. But again, it's
Okay, all right.
lack of.
I guess I wasn't
yeah,
aware
to-
of it.
to
All right,
follow up.
okay. Thank you. You got any more, Brandon?
Nope, the rest of the relevant reports, admission, revenue, calls, all below.
Okay, you do a good report. Thank you.
Thank you.
As you all do a good report. I just don't. Okay, number F, sale of the K-9 squad. Discussion and possible action. What is that?
So I can start and then I'll turn to the sheriff.
Okay,
But essentially what's come up is that we're downsizing the canine operation to one dog. And we have two squads.
oh,
So I'll turn over to the sheriff now.
We've had several agencies reach out to us, being it's a fully equipped squad with few miles. It only has 30,000 miles. It's been in use just over a year. And it was one of those things where it was probably beneficial for us and another agency nearby, enhancing a working relationship as well and making it feasible financially for us. So Burnett County has given an offer for it that's very reasonable,
okay.
and we're looking at selling it to them.
So you need approval from this board to send it to the
Yeah,
county
there's-
board, or can it just?
That can just be this.
Just
This
okay,
is the
that's
committee
what
of
I was
jurisdiction.
figuring. Okay.
And the reason it's here is normally, if we were getting rid of squads, they go up for auction, but
Yeah.
we're working with another local government. There's no statute requiring us to put it up for public sale or
Okay.
any county rule. But council recommended to have the committee approve the sale.
Okay, all right. All right. Mark?
Why are we downsizing the K-9 department?
One of our deputies that was a canine handler is no longer a canine handler.
All right, we need a motion to approve the sale of the K-9 squad. I will make that motion. Okay. And we have a second by Mr. Weaver. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries to approve to sell it. Okay. Go ahead.
In these states where they make drugs legal, marijuana legal, what does that do with the canine dogs? Does that make them obsolete, or are they retrained in some other area?
That is a very interesting question and comes to light often. They are trained to detect alert on marijuana. My understanding that a lot of them are not teaching dogs to alert on marijuana anymore because of that reason. And I think that's going to be the transition in the future, is that's one of the drugs they're not going to teach to alert on, as it becomes unfortunately more legal or legal in more states. I am not supportive of that.
But there's still incidences that you would still need the canine dog for, search a vehicle that may have high quantity of marijuana, correct?
But the dog's not able to know the difference if it's a high quantity or a low quantity. That's where the issue comes in. It,
You can drive in states where it's legal, just smell it through the vehicles.
Yeah.
Well, how? And I kind of gets off subject, but how you gonna get these guys to have a lot?
it's going to be a transition through this, but it's a little ripple today, but it's not the end of the world, but it does add to some challenges.
No, that's okay. All right. Any more discussion? All right, move on to number 11, Emergency Management and Communication Center report.
Last week, Nicole ran our hazmat training. She is required to do exercises on a regular basis, annual and some biannually. And she did an outstanding job. We worked with our local fire departments, law enforcement, and the hospital, and had the exercise right at the hospital. It was involving some chemicals that were spilled at the hospital, and we learned a lot. I think there was some excellent performance by all of the responding agencies, whether it's fire, law enforcement, or EMS. It went well, but every one of those exercises are always a great learning experience. So
Okay.
outside of that, everything in her office is going pretty good. She is going to be moving from the detective office she's been working out of. They're just finishing her office downstairs right in dispatch. So she will be moving down into dispatch and making that transition so that Detective Simpson can take that office that she's currently in.
Okay. And the communication center report here is, anybody want to give that or?
I can give it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Chief.
So our latest full-time hire has finished her training, is now working solo. She had an abbreviated training program because she had 20 years experience in another department. So that worked out really well for us. We did hold interviews on another young lady last week. She accepted, so she'll be beginning her training here shortly. And we've had several individuals in the shadowing process, and hopefully we can get some more interviews out of that. Lumen Technologies, who currently services or has our 911 system, will no longer be in that service. So AT&T will now be taking over the repair and maintenance from Lumen. So we'll be moving on from that.
Okay.
Calls for service for October was 1,380, and our total number of calls year to date is 14,782, which is pretty consistent with the last couple of years. So
Good. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also
Yes,
like
go
to
ahead.
add that we do have 8 dispatch positions. We have 6 full-timers, and we had another dispatcher submit her resignation. She's looking at going into being a federal officer, and another one of our senior dispatchers looking at retiring. So if that goes through, we're going to be down to 4 out of 8 dispatchers.
Oh, wow. Well, Andy. Okay. All right. Is there any more questions? Go ahead.
Contact us in the emergency dispatch.
Yeah, they call one of our old cell phones or old phone number.
Yeah,
And I just want to update.
that would be the direct.
That'd be the
And what would that be?
634-5213.
Okay, all right. Any more questions? All right, thank you. All right, number 12, Child Support Department report. You're up.
Hi, yes, I provided a written report and just am here in case there's any further questions.
I have none. Mark? Mr. Weaver, you got any questions with it? Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for attending.
All right, number 13, Emergency Services. Ambulance and Medical Examiner update billing reports. Mr. Brummel.
All right. Well, as you can see, calls are up from last year, not by much, but they're still up. Around 129 for the October. It's going to be closer to 140, but because I pulled these a lot earlier. You can see our townships. I got the township breakdowns for you guys if you have any questions on those. Also, we've been keeping track of Narcan use since 7/20 of 23. So
On your Narcan use, there I see you have 10 unknown. How do you?
So that's like a lot of times when people are reporting, they gave Narcan, we don't know who gave it. We don't know if it was a bystander or something. So it's like a lot of times EMS is getting that report from somebody, but they didn't say if it was a law enforcement or whatever. They just know Narcan was given before seeing. And it's the way that you have like in our reports, it's like a check button. And that's one of the check buttons that you have when you access that for reporting software. And it could be that just as they're doing their report, they forgot who gave it, so they click unknown.
Try to work on that.
Yep. And then you can see what we did some pack test examinations. Jim was down in Madison, got that award that we were talking about, which was really good. And then upcoming, I'm setting up a training for dementia care with my EMS staff through the county aging and disability as well as tribal, Allison Cuddy and Joni. And so they're going to be going through and learning about dementia patients and how that can work with EMS, just keeping up on that. If you take a look at the deaths that we've been keeping track of them, the good number is that almost all of them are natural. All right, that's good. I still have 9 cases pending toxicology right now. So, and one that's pending an autopsy result. You can see that we had on here, it says 4 suicides. We have actual 5 suicides now since 2 days ago. And 17 accidental deaths. As far as suicide goes, we normally have about 5 a year, which is not good. I'd rather have 0, but our biggest year was 2021 for suicides with 9. So we are lower than 2021. As far as billing goes, everything's been on par with all the final months. We're still at 39% for collections, which is normal for EMS billing. And as far as budget goes, I'm still only at, I believe, 73% of my budget. So I think we're doing good on that coming up to January. So.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions?
Just
ahead,
one,
Mr. Peters.
in general, for an autopsy, how long does it take to get the results of that?
It all depends. If for a normal autopsy, it usually is about 3 weeks, but if there's like some special testing that needs to be done, that can go up to like 4 or 5 months. and I've had them go 6 months.
Toxicology?
Yeah, it's always toxicology they're waiting on. And when you send it like the state lab, like if I don't do like an autopsy and I'm just doing my own toxicology, send in the state lab, it could be, almost a year sometimes to get those. It all depends on how backed up the lab is. They're getting better now. They're fully staffed. They were understaffed for a while. And the state lab also does the toxicology for all the sheriff's departments when they're doing their blood draws. So sheriffs kind of take precedent over the coroners there, so.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Go ahead, Andy.
Just wanted to add on to John's report. So we have an update on the township contracts for the Washburn County towns. We had talked about those a few months ago. We're going to end up losing town of Birchwood and town of Stone Lake. They're going to drop from our contracting with us. Town of Birchwood's going with Four Corners, and town of Stone Lake is going to go with North Memorial. I don't have the details on the town of Birchwood, but town of Stone Lake, North Memorial is going to contract with them for $27.54 per capita, and we were at $38.60. Essentially, we had previously a $40 per capita rate with them, so they just said that the cost difference was too great to ignore, so that's why they're going with North Memorial.
Don't we have an ambulance in Stone Lake?
That's, I was just gonna ask about. that.
Yeah, we have, there's an ambulance in Stone Lake, but the Washburn County side of Stone Lake is a lot bigger than the Sawyer County side of Stone Lake. So it literally is right across the street from Washburn County. So
So will that ambulance stay there?
that should be a discussion that we probably
Yeah.
have. So.
I
Because
mean,
if you look at because this Stone Lake here is the Sawyer County Stone Lake, and you can see that we have like one call
Yeah.
in Stone Lake right now. But, without having like a further discussion, looking at maps and getting that, I'd be uncomfortable that give any answer to what we
Okay,
should do.
no,
about
that's
it.
fine.
But that,
Go ahead, go ahead.
but that Stone Lake, ambulance supports the county quite a bit.
It does, and it's just so make sure we're clear. It's not a staffed ambulance, so it's when there's a crew in the area that they get called in for a call, that if they're available, they can get called in to run that ambulance.
Okay.
But I think that's what John said. We have the fully staffed in Ojibwa and Hayward, and then we have the on-call or call-in, whatever you want to call it, for Stone Lake
And Round Lake.
and Round Lake. And I think we're talking about, in total, how many ambulances do we need to have? John's plan is to downsize just physically the number of rigs we have, number of actual ambulances, and then take a look at where they're located.
And the building that ambulance is housed in, who owns that?
Stone Lake.
Stone Lake?
That's in the Stone Lake Fire Department.
Yep, it's Stone Lake Fire. We pay rent to have it there, so. And I mean, when I have crews, and that's why I've been working so hard on the EMR programs, trying to rebuild, what I call our volunteer staff, so we can get more people to respond to those ambulances. It's just really hard because right now, I mean, all the EMS services around us are hiring anybody who gets a license. They're picking them up as fast as you can, and these are full-time, positions. So,
Well, it's in your ballpark, John. That's, it's up to you. So bring it to whatever you and Andy. So.
Yep, that's what I said. It's like, if talk about it, if it's still feasible to keep it there and whatever, we'll
Yep.
keep it there. If we find something better, we'll let you guys know before we make any decisions.
So just to be nosy, what do we pay for rent on that thing?
It's like 35 a year, 3,500.
Oh,
So it's not exorbitant. So
all right.
There was the third township, town of Bass Lake in Washburn County. They do want to continue on contracting with us.
Okay.
They were paying $40. We asked for 80, and they've offered us 60.
Oh.
And that just strictly cite their budget. That's a 50% increase. We understand that. I think we need to stay on top to up them every year.
Right.
So they
agree.
can accommodate that. I'll have a contract from them for you to approve next month.
Okay. Any more questions for Mr. Fremmel? Okay, If not, thanks, John. Okay, number 14, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council update.
Not a whole lot of new. At the last meeting, we talked about the fentanyl and then also a lot of discussion with the new homeless shelter that's being pursued. And outside of that, it's just updates on the TAD grant for 24 that's been applied for. And then the recovery court will be up and running January 1st. Nothing earth shattering other than that.
All right, any questions for Andy? If not, number 15, future agenda items. Lynn, I would like to see on next month's agenda what Miss Hessel brought before us on these out of county deputies taking their vehicles home and having to pay mileage or whatever. I mean, I agree. We don't want to lose these deputies because they're hard to get a hold of. And we're already going to be looking for another one. So we don't need to look for 6 total. So can you put that on there? Okay, thank you.
We're also so close to climate. Guys just have to do it.
Yeah,
Is there a guy that lives in Washington that parks a vehicle at the Stone Lake Fire Department? Do you recall?
Not with us currently. That's happened in the past, at least with the sheriff's office. But is the highway commissioner parking his vehicle?
Yeah, I say now we have the highway commissioner parks his vehicle there.
I used to see it.
That's just started though in the last month.
okay.
See it come out down there.
But we do, I think the sheriff does have deputies at the Logan County that park their vehicles at someplace near the county line.
We allow them to park it in a safe, secure place, whether it's a residence or property with a governing body, to accommodate them more.
Is
We
there
have
Go ahead, Sheriff.
we have 4 or 5 that live out of county.
Is there one parked at down there in Birchwood by that sports shop there? Is that one of Sawyer County's?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's one we're gonna work on getting on his residence.
We have 2 down in Birchwood. One lives in Barron County and is in the process of moving to Washburn County. And the other thing I want to note is that is county policy, and I
Yeah.
support the county policy.
You do?
Yes.
Explain, please, as far as supporting.
Well, being the county, I don't intend to supersede the county policy. You guys are the policy makers. You know that the other side to this is, we have been very fortunate to receive a lot of donations. We just received over several thousand from another community member, and I think a lot of that falls back on our county deputies living in the residence and the personal connection that our resident deputies have with the community.
Okay,
And-
but yeah.
Let's put it on.
I don't want to carry on with
No.
this because until we put it on the agenda.
We already have some of this information. We looked at it as part of the contract negotiations. So put it out for next month. We can give you the
Okay, yeah,
both sides of it.
all right, yeah, so thank you for what we did here, sure appreciate that, so. You guys got anything for the agenda? Not number 16, correspondence reports from conferences and meetings? If not, we have any more business? Not, thank you, everybody. Thanks for the reports. We are adjourned.